Welcome back to TalkBack. We are with the Minister of Information and Broadcasting and the newly appointed Governor of the very strategically located Gilgit and Baltistan territory, formerly known as the Northern Areas, Qamar Zaman Kaira. Minister, welcome to the show. Now, usually we get right into the questioning drafted by us, but considering your special portfolio, considering you're the Minister of Information, you're supposed to reach out to the rest of the country, we've decided to turn things around. We've decided for the rest of the country to reach out to you for information. Now, for example, in this case, Khabar Khan, a journalist from New York, has a question for you. Now, Khabar says, and he's talking about the state-run media, which is under your ambit, and Khabar says, why does the so-called free media not have terrestrial rights in Pakistan? What is the holdup? If this government is really as populist as it claims, why has Mr. Kaira not broken the stranglehold of the state broadcaster on terrestrial television?
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be in your show and have such questions like this. This is a very amazing and very interesting pattern of the program. I really congratulate you. As far as the terrestrial rights are concerned, Pakistan Television is not the only television. ATV has the terrestrial right over here, and they have the terrestrial coverage. And ATV is run by a private organization, not by the government.
But why, I guess I have to back up Khabar on this, Minister, that why is the PTV not run? Because he goes on to say, when will the PTV be run like a public as opposed to a state broadcaster? Public would be like NPR or BBC in the States and in the UK. They receive public funding, as does PTV, but they serve the public interest. They do not propagandize the state.
Yes, partially this is true. Because we are a developing democracy, we have to learn a lot. Our institutions are now in a learning stage and developing stage. Pakistan Television was used as a government organ, not as a state organ. As far as the state is concerned, yes, a government-owned or a state-owned channel should protect and should propagate the state issue. Government is something else, state is something else. As far as the government's propaganda is concerned, yes, in the developing democracies, in the developing countries, there are many things, many institutions which are learning, which are gradually growing. But the pattern, of course, we have to change it much more now.
But Minister, when will you allow cable television to go terrestrial?
There's no ban on it.
Why don't we see most of the major networks on
this is their own
terrestrial television?
This is their own right. But in most of the world, not all the channels have the terrestrial rights. This is the right of the government or state. Yes.
Okay.
In our neighbor, even in India, okay, all the private channels don't have the terrestrial rights.
Okay. Now let's switch a little. This one is from Karachi, and this is by Dr. Naseem Ahmed, who's a medical specialist. And Dr. Naseem Ahmed, his subject is managing PR for Pakistan's image. And he says, is the information minister aware of the mud being slung on the face of the president and his office internationally? And he goes on to cite a particular reference. Recently, an article in the news by Anjum Niaz and also an article in the Financial Times, which has quoted two psychiatrists, Stephen Reich and Philip Saltiel, who prepared medical reports that were filed in a London court where their patient, Asif Ali Zardari, was allegedly facing corruption charges. According to the Financial Times, this is Dr. Naseem Ahmed saying, the psychiatrist said that the patient, President Zardari, not president at that time, suffered from, quote, severe emotional instability, dementia, amnesia, concentration problems, and major depressive disorder. The documents also stated that he had suicidal tendencies. Now, what the good doctor in Karachi is saying, that the international press is slinging mud on the office, the very high office of the President of Pakistan. What is the information minister doing to fight?
Look, as far as the media is concerned, yes, there are some channels, especially one in Pakistan. There are some people in Pakistan who have focused on President, and this sort of stories are coming not independently, but these are being managed. But we don't mind it.
This is a very respected paper.
I have all the respect for them, but there are many false stories in the global papers as well.
Minister, this is not a false story.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking of the false stories. I just mentioned it, yes, that there are many credible channels and many credible papers, but even then there are something, sometimes they have something wrong with them as well. But if a channel starts a program and for 3 months, 2.5 months, the program is just focused on President Zardari.
Minister, I understand, and a lot of people in your cabinet and outside of your cabinet have made this case that a lot of the media is focused, perhaps
Not lot of media. Not lot of media.
Perhaps unfairly at the president. That's not the point, though. The point is what this gentleman is asking, considering he's a medical specialist himself, he's saying that these are pretty serious allegations made by not just the local press, but the international press as well. What has Qamar Zaman Kaira done to fight this assault?
We don't consider this international press so credible.
Do you think there's a reason for that?
I don't know what's the reason.
When you guys sit together, when the cabinet sits together, goes to the presidency perhaps, when you guys talk about it, when you guys review it, what are you guys thinking?
Look,
what's the problem?
If there's anything wrong between me and you, it should not be reflected in your policy of your channel, and it should not be reflected in my office job. There should be a personal issue. If Dr. Shahid has something wrong with the president, and president was very good when he was offered MDP-TV and he joined there. Now, if he has left the job, now if he has something wrong personal, that should not be reflected in the policy of the channel.
But Minister, what does the Financial Times have personally with the president?
I don't say this. I say that this is a story which was the case which he is mentioning is about 5, 6, 7 years back, and now again this case has come in the paper. Why? What's the reason? What's the logic?
Perhaps because the president is in power.
No,
Minister.
This is not the issue. If the president is in power, he's in power for last one year. Why now? When a specific channel is trying to malign the president and trying to focus him personally, only then.
It seems as if you're telling me that the PPP has always been persecuted. Is there a persecution complex perhaps the PPP has?
I don't say it's a persecution. I say that whenever a government, yes, not only our government, when me and Nawaz Sharif's last government came, that was also charged on the same issues, on corruption, on mismanagement, on many issues, just to malign, just to give bad name to the politicians, and just have.
But what's the crux of this? Who's behind this? Is there a large conspiracy theory against the PPP right now?
I don't say this is a conspiracy theory. I say there are forces in the country. There are political forces in the country who are fighting. Their interest is different.
You want to name them?
I don't want to name them because that will give a bad taste.
Okay, Minister, we have to take a short break here. You're watching TalkBack with Information Minister Kaira. Stay tuned.